I'm probably going to do a lot of things on Excel. So I think the best thing is if you can have your computers and follow me and do whatever I do. Again, when you feel it's necessary, when you feel that, okay, you understand what I'm doing, you prefer to listen, it's also okay. I will probably use this part of the board in order to write things. So think when you want to sit, feel free to put the tables wherever you want, as long as you can see what I do. Another way it would be to put it up and down. I think it's not very popular, so I'll probably use this area, maybe this area, and let me know if you don't see it very well. So let's make a plan, okay? So I think the first subject can be log regression. We can then move, and what is the second subject that we would want to cover? Anyone has preferences?
DNA.
Let's put KNN.
We just go through the entire class and sort of cover the main topics.
Yeah, third subject, yeah, but just in terms of order. So we'll all have some type of plan. After that, we can maybe go to skills and luck. Skill and luck. We can then go and do the optimization question. Optimization. And then we can go and do maybe simulation. Okay. Anything else that? Yeah.
By the way, I'm recording for Eloisa, if that's okay.
No problem, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, that's great.
So if I'm being sketchy over here, just...
Okay. Hi Louisa, what's going on? Okay, so log regression, KNN, skills versus luck, optimization, simulation, what next?
Overfitting.
Overfitting, we can, it's more of a small thing, so let's sign it overfitting. Okay, what else?
Difference in difference.
Oh, DID, actually we can do DID. It's more on the, I think on the easy part. Okay, so we have the plan. Let's start. So let's start speaking about logarithmic regression. Okay. So simple regression. In a simple regression, we're trying to find. We usually have. If you have good memory, try to memorize this thing because it's going to be different. If you remember from simple regression, we're trying to find the relationship between one variable that we want to explain to other variables that we know the value of. For example, in statistics, you had you wanted to estimate the price of an apartment, and you had what is the number of rooms, what is the size of the apartment, and so on and so forth. Okay? So usually we have some data. Here, let's say x1 and x2, and we have also the y. And based on this data, we find the relationship between y and x1 and x2. And the relationship was always beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2 plus some type of an alpha. It was the intercept, the constant. And this was in simple regression, okay? And the regression, when we run the regression, it found us the beta 1, beta 2, and the alpha. Clear? So I knew what is the relationship between these three. Now, apparently, when the variable that I try to explain, it's a 0 or 1, it's a binary variable, usually this type of regression don't give very good results. Again, usually, for most cases. What give better results is logarithmic regression, in which the formula is a little bit scary, but don't be scared by that. It's actually very similar, but we have this e to the power. E, by the way, it's a number, it's 2.71, but you can just, in Excel, you just use equal x and this number, beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2 plus alpha. And in the denominator, 1 plus this crazy stuff. Okay, and when I will run the regression, the log regression, what the log regression will give me? It will give me the values of beta 1, beta 2, and alpha. Okay, alpha is again the intercept of the constant. And then I will be able to put it in an equation like that and find if I know x1 and x2, what's going on? What is the probability? We give me type of probability. The probability that y is 1. Okay? So far, is it clear?
This is logarithmic or logistic regression?
This is log regression. What do you mean? This is linear regression.
Exactly, yeah. And that's
And this is logarithmic regression. It's two different types of regressions. Okay? And usually this will give me a better results for, and okay, this one for any case. This is only for binary results. For example, is the customer going to accept the offer that I give? Is this transaction is like illegal or anything like that? Okay, so we use this type. We can still use this type, but we usually get better results with this one. Yeah.
And the output will be the probability that it happens or it doesn't happen?
That it will happen. That it's 1. Probability that it's 1. Now, let's speak about it a little bit more. So, let's understand what happened when this beta 1 x1, beta 2 x2 plus alpha is a big number. Let's say that it's a million. Let's say that for some x1 and x2, it's a very big number. So e to the power of a very big number, it's a very big number. So imagine like a billion. And a billion divided by 1 plus billion, how much is that? It's around 1. So if this number, okay, the power is a very big number, the probability will be very close to 1. On the other hand, if this number is a very negative number, big negative number, like minus million, e to the power of minus million, it's like around 0, okay? And then something that is very, very small divided by 1 plus something that is very, very small is how much? It's 0. So it will go to 0, okay? So when this is small, this is very, very small, we will get, so if this is very, very negative, this is very, very negative number, we will get 0 probability. If this is very, very big, we'll get a very close to 1. Okay? So let's now see how we run in terms of Excel, how we actually do that. So let's take a simple example.
Which ones? That's in practice. Oh, the add-ins? The new ones? Okay, so delete all the old ones from your computer. Here's the folder. Okay, so delete all of those ones. You can just select
Okay. So to zero, you need me to figure. Okay, if you don't know how to run the logistic regression, I think it will be great if you can open the computer, open this file that is from your canvas, practice log regression, and we will do question 1. So let's first look on the data. So we have information about different transactions, how many number of suspicious words there is in the mail or transaction or whatever, and some score for suspicious routing. I don't really care about the question, I'm not even reading the question. And then I have the information if it was actually spam or not. Okay? I have past data. By the way, one of the things you can see here, if they will ask you some qualitative question, is that the sample size is very small. It's less than 30. Okay? But I can still run logistic regression. How do I do that? So if you have the add-in installed, of course you should have, you choose the logistic reg train. Okay? We have two functions, logistic reg train and predict. To find the equation, you use logistic reg train. Then I can, to understand what are the arguments that I need, because maybe I don't remember, I can press here the fx. And then the non-y.
Sorry, what's the difference between the logistic reg train and predict?
So now we only use train.
Yeah.
In a second I will explain about predict, okay? Train gives you actually the model, actually the coefficients that we are looking for. So the non-y, I will choose the span, I will choose the y, including the label, okay? Then for the non-x, we choose all the other, including the label. Make sure that, you see, I choose only one. It assumes that only one cell of a label, so don't use all this as a label, gonna use only the first one as a label. This is the second argument, and actually that's it. The other are not relevant. And then I can press OK. So you can see, because it's a vector function, I get something that doesn't make a lot of sense. So what I do, it tells me actually that it's 7 and 4. Some functions it will not tell me, but in this one it tells me. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down, and 4 to the right. It can go more and it will be okay, but at least 7 and 4. Then I press F2, or I go and press here to go to this area. And then the last step is Control, Shift, and Enter together. Okay? So try to do that and tell me if it doesn't work, because in this class we are going to use a lot of vector functions. So I want to make sure that all of you manage to run this function.
What do you press Control Shift Enter?
You first choose like 7 and 4. Then second step you go to this window and then Control Shift and Enter. Okay, anyone still try to do it?
Which one is the formula again? Logistic?
Logistic reg train.
I have the add-in, but I can't find it.
Logistic electric.
Yeah. I've used it like quite a few times already, but for some reason it doesn't appear.
You know what? So I had an issue in your settings. Sometimes when you type the formula, it won't automatically populate it. So if you click on the FX button on the left of the box, maybe the log will come up.
Oh, it was not.
Did it come up?
It was not activated actually. I'm just checking add-ins right now and it's not activated. But
Okay, so install the add-in
Yeah.
and we'll continue.
Sorry.
Okay, now let's look at the output. The most important line of the output is the first line, is the coefficient. Okay, so I got -4 for the constant, -0, not minus, 0.14 for words, and 0.64 to the routing. Let's see how to translate it into an equation. So what I actually got is that the probability the specific transaction is, it's a span, it's E to the power of, don't do it exactly, but 4 plus 0.14 multiplied by words plus 0.6 multiplied by routing score.
Why don't you make it the -4?
It's a negative 4,
Oh.
okay. Divided by 1 plus E to the same. Okay, this is the way to interpret the first line. This is the equation that I got. Now let's examine this equation. First, how the number of words, specifically number of suspicious words in a transaction, how it affects the probability that the transaction will be spammed. Because this coefficient is positive, it's a positive effect. Okay? So it means more words will increase the probability that a specific transaction will be a spam. Do you all see that? Because this coefficient is positive. If this coefficient was negative, the probability will go down when words goes up. Okay? The same for routing. As routing goes up, the routing score goes up, the probability that it's a spam also goes up. Okay, it's clear? Yeah.
Could be, and then in terms of the strength of the p-value, or like it being,
Let's get to it.
but so it's contingent, like that is true contingent on the p-value being,
So let me get to the people and then I will try to answer it. But if I don't answer, let me know. Okay, so this is the first line, this is the way to interpret it. The second line that is, this is the standard error of the coefficient, I don't want to get into that, it's exactly like statistic. What I think is more interesting is this line. This line gives me the p-value. In order for the variable to be significant, statistically significant, I usually want it to be less than 5%. As you can see in this question, and I'm not surprised by that because it's a very small sample. It's very hard to be significant in this small sample. It's higher than 5%, okay? So again, if they ask you about problems with regression or anything like that, maybe you can read chairs from the room, the next room.
Oh,
Chairs from table, so we can set 2 lines maybe, or anything like that. You don't have to. Okay, so again, the p-value, I accept the p-value to be lower than 5%. If it's not lower than 5%, then we say, hey, maybe I should run the regression again without this variable. Is this answer you or not?
But so let's say the question is like, you know, what's the relationship of the word's coefficient
What?
to the outcome? And
What is the relationship?
yeah,
So,
can we say that it is positive even if the p-value isn't significant? Or because it's not significant, we say like, you can't, there is no relationship?
That's a good question. Like, seriously, really, if you do research, you say, hey, there is no statistically significant relationship. For the exam, I don't think there is. So I would say, hey, the relation that we found is -4, but hey, please notice this variable is not statistically significant.
Okay.
That's how I would answer. Okay, let's see what else. So, what logistic regression model parameters provide the best fit to the given data in just the first line, as we said. Using model A, what are the predictions corresponding to each rows in the data? So what I can do now, what they ask me to do, they ask me, hey, you have your model, let's see how good it works on the past transaction, but we actually know if it's spam or not. So I will add the line here that's called prediction, okay? And I want to predict. Now I'm using the second formula, that is log reg predict. Again, I can first here to understand what are the variables that we get. So the first variable is the model. The model is just the line of the coefficients, from the constant to the other coefficients. Okay? And the second is just what are the values for the variable. So specifically, it will be this and this. Okay? Because this is it's the same order. Okay? So the first variable was words. The first variable there is words. The second variable is routing, the second variable is routing. It should be in the same order. Okay? And notice that now it's 2 cells and the model was 3 cells because of the code. And that's it. And I get that this transaction, that actually I know that it is a spam, my model thinks it's only 0.38%. Okay? If I will lock the right, I want to lock the model. So I press F4 in PC to lock the model, then I can drag it all the way down and get the value for all the cells. As you can see, hey, this is actually spamming, it thinks it's 38. On the other hand, this is not a spam and it thinks it's 44. So it's not the best model probably, but I think it's good enough. It's like the best I can find for this data. It's a small data. Okay, let's see. If 100 new messages arrive with numbers of suspicious words 12 and suspicious routing 3, how many are expected to be spam? See first row in the data. So let me ask you, if there are 100 transactions like that, 12 and 3, how many of them are going to be spam according to my model? 38%, right? Because each one of those is 38%, so about 38.8 transactions will be a spam if there are 100 transactions.
Can you repeat that again, Kobe?
Yes, they are telling me, let's say that we have 100 transactions exactly like that. 12 suspicious words and routing score 3. Now, it's just like simple statistics. If each transaction has 0.38 to be a spam, and I have 100 transactions, so now 100 multiplied by 0.38 is 38 transactions will be spam. Okay? Again, just interpreting, they just ask you to interpret this number to see that you really understand that it's a probability. And a new message arrives with number of suspicious words for 8 and suspicious routing 6. What is the probability that it's a spam? So I can actually just write here 8 and 6, okay? Notice I'm in the same order, number of words and then routing. Okay. Words. And routing. And again, log reg predict, don't and again, I'm choosing the model as the first argument. It's the second one, and I see that it's 7 columns. Okay? I think this is enough for log regression. We might solve the exam and then we read it again.
Can I ask you a quick
Yeah.
question? The log likelihood, are we supposed to know?
The what?
The log likelihood and the red tree.
Where is this?
If you
This
scroll,
one?
no, just go down. Yeah. Are we supposed to know all that or?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
He's never talked about it in review sessions or anything.
No, we also asked about it in classes.
One other question. So if he asks us, what's the emphasis of the weight that one of the variables has on the outcome? We simply take the routing coefficient multiplied by the standard error, right? And that's the weight that variable has.
The
on it.
weight effect.
Like so. You just,
So let's look here. The effect of words. So let's look, for example, here. What has higher effect?
routing,
If the words increase by 1 or if the routing increases by 1?
the routing.
We see that the effect of routing is higher because 0.6 multiplied by 1 is 0.1 multiplied by 1. What you can't do, you can translate this into probability. I can't say, hey, increase in one word is increase in 0.1% or whatever. I can do that in a simple regression. I can't do that in a log regression. So the only thing that you can do is to understand first if it's a positive or negative effect. And then you can compare the effect of two different variables, which has a stronger effect. Okay? Any other questions about log regression in general before we move to something else? Okay, that's great.
Wait, sorry, what
Yeah.
is the log likelihood?
We said, I don't think you need to know.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Again, I'm not a professor and should verify it with you, but I don't think you should know anything about it. Okay, let's move to the next subject. I think it was difference in differences, okay? Now, difference in differences, I think it's not very complicated. It's just like one thing that we need to understand, and but it's a very important concept. So let's assume that we are, that you are the guys. And if you have questions, ask me, because otherwise I don't hear myself. So let's say that you are the manager of Zara in New York. You have a lot of branches of Zara, and you are the manager in New York, and you have some hypothesis. And your hypothesis is that if you increase the salary of a manager, the sales of the store will increase. So you do the following things. You increase the salary of the manager by 20%, and then you see that the next year, the sales of the store decreased by 10%. What will be your conclusion? Are you okay, guys?
Yeah, we just ate, we didn't.
Ah, okay, so you're okay. So, what is the conclusion?
We think the manager was responsible for that.
My conclusion, the simple conclusion, is when I increase the salary of the manager, the sales of the store actually decrease. Right? This is the simple conclusion from the data, right? I increase the salary of the manager. The next year, the sales decrease by 10%. This is the simple conclusion. The problem with that, as you try to say, there might be a lot of reasons that this might happen. Maybe the economy is not doing so good. Maybe the designs of Zara are not so good this year. maybe there are other competitors that are cutting prices. There can be tons of reasons, right? So I want to isolate the effect of increasing the salary of the manager. So I will have always the pilot. The pilot will be one store, this one store that I increase the salary of the manager, and I will have the test that I'm not touching it. And then I will be able to compare. So it's not enough to look on the pilot, I want to compare. So let's say that in this type of test, the other stores that I have, their sales decrease by 20%. So again, I increase the salary of the manager of one store. The sales of this store decrease by 10%. The sales of the stores of the other stores decrease by 20%. What will be now your conclusion? Anyone?
There's a difference of 10%.
So
Right.
my conclusion intuitively is that actually increasing the salary of the manager result of a 10% increase in sales of a store. Before even we discuss difference in differences, is this intuitively clear to everyone?
No.
Right? It makes sense. So actually, because of other reasons, all the stores decrease by 20%, and then this store, on top of that, increased by 10%. Okay. So this is the effect. Now, in terms of like number, the way, so intuitively I understand what I did, but what I actually did, the thought process that we did is that the difference in pilot was minus 10%. The difference in test was minus 20%. And then the difference in differences is always will be the difference in the pilot minus the difference in the test. So it's actually positive 10%. Okay? So it's not very complicated, it's just a concept that you need to understand and to understand how to apply. Okay? Any questions about that before we are going to a question? So a very simple question. I don't even read the question again. I have this pilot control. Let's say that for some of the users of Netflix, I added some feature that called popular on Netflix. Okay, it doesn't really interesting what it is specifically. They added some type of feature called popular on Netflix. And I see that before people watch 20 hours and after they watch 24 hours. And for the control, it was 20 and after it was 27. So now we will do a very, very simple things. Notice that I always do that as a percentage. I don't do just 24 minus 20. I want to do it as a percentage. So we take 24 minus 20. And then divide by 20. Okay? So this is the percentage increase. And you can do the same for the control and get 35. And then the difference in differences will be, again, all the time, the pilot minus the control. It's minus 50%. So popular in Netflix actually decrease the number of hours people watch by 15%. Okay. Let's see what. Let's see the delta.
So it's pilot minus control.
It's all the time pilot minus.
So it's your test minus your control.
It's the test minus. It's yeah. It depends on the terminology. Usually it's pilot and test or pilot and control. So yeah.
Greatest problem. Bless you.
so just look at this one. Okay, let's say that I have some type of, don't even know what is the data, but let's still solve this question. So, in New York, it's no additional interest, and in California, it's additional interest. It means that, let's say that I did something to 25 stores in California, okay? Let's say that this is the profit margin of stores, of Zara stores in California, and you see that before, this was the profit margin, and after that, this was the profit margin. And I did something in California to all the stores, some type of effect. And in New York, I didn't do any effect, anything, and this was the profit margin before and after. So now I want to understand whether this thing that I did in California was good or bad. Is this increase the profit margin or not? Okay, so how I will do that? I will set a table for the differences, and it will always be before and after. And we can put California, which is the pilot. I did something in New York that I didn't do anything to the stores. Now I will take the average. This is for California. California for the before. And California after. You can see that the profit margin of the stores increased by some percentage. And the same for New York. I can see that it increased by more. Here I can do it just this minus that, but I will still do that in percentage. I think in percentage is always better. So this minus this divided by the before. The differences will be again California that I did something, New York that I didn't do anything. I actually see that by average, because of what I did, the profit margin in California in an average store decreased by 9%. So if I wouldn't do differences analysis, I would think that, hey, because of what I did, the profit margin in California increased by 11%. But now, because I did some control group of New York, I understand that the effect wasn't really 9%, it was 11%. 2 other percent came from other reasons. Maybe just the stores will become better in general or anything else. I think that's it for differences. There is no much. Again, I think we will meet again when we solve questions for things. Any questions about differences? Because before we move to the next subject.
Did you not perform a division right there like you did in problem 1? Or was it just the difference?
Again?
Oh, you did? Okay, cool.
You have to calculate the percentage.
Yeah, I just wasn't watching. Let me make sure.
Yeah, I did it in percent.
Yeah, just making
I
sure.
can do also this minus that, but it usually makes more sense to do it.
Yeah.
In some questions, it can also make sense to do it just this one. But
Yeah.
maybe this question it can make sense, but it's like because the way I said it's profit margin, but usually we do it percentage. Yeah.
So in this case, if for New York, where you didn't do anything, the percentage change is less, then that means that whatever you did was effective. Just
Yeah, I see that for New York, there was an increase of 2.34% without doing anything. So I conclude that out of this 11.44 change, 2.34 is just by other things that happened, and the other 9.09 is because of what I did. Okay. And now they can ask a question like, for example, hey, what would be the after for California if I wouldn't do this plan? How can I do that? What will be the profit margin of California if I didn't do this additional interest plan?
the before.
Sorry?
The before.
Not the before.
No, you had 2.34.
Why? Because
Oh yeah.
I do, without doing anything, I'm getting 2.34.
Oh.
So I can do 1 plus 2.34 multiplied by the before. This is what I get without doing anything. Yeah, we get 8.16 or 8.1.
So
But I got 11.4. So I got 8.2. Makes sense?
so
no?
1 plus 2 point whatever.
Yeah, because I know I'm getting another 2% of profit margin or whatever this question was about just by doing that. So I will get to 8.1. I will not get to 8.8. Okay. And I can ask the same question. Hey, what would have happened to New York if I will do the plan in New York? I will do the same. I will take 1 plus. Now we take actually the figures for, I will take the figures of the DAB, the difference in differences, and I will apply it. I know I'm doing something a bit weird. I will apply to the after, okay? So the after in New York already account for the what everyone gets, 2%. I want to add it another 9%. So this is an estimation of how much New York will be. It will be 8.4%. So this type of games you can do them as long as you understand it. What are the meaning of each number is. Sounds good. You want to make it bigger?
Excuse me, I don't understand actually this.
This one?
Yeah, like.
So let me ask you. New York, I didn't do anything. I didn't do any plan. Let's assume that I would have done a plan. What would be the profit margin of New York stores? So I know that the before was 7.5. I know that the after was 7.7. And I know that the effect of my plan is another 9%.
Ah, okay, so you're.
So I took actually the after and added 9%. I could have differently take this 7.5 and applied all the 11.4. I did it in a different way. Took the after and I say, hey, I'll get another 9% for doing the plan.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't make sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Thank you.
Any other questions about difference in
So
difference?
the 8.38 is if you did it? What did you do?
8.38 is what would be the after if I would do the plan. Okay. Any other questions on difference? That's good. So we can move to the next subject. I think it was KNN, right?